Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of our English podcast. Today, we are going to explore 20 long topics that you can use in real life. We will not just give short sentences. We will tell full stories so you can understand how English is used naturally. You will hear complete dialogues, descriptions, feelings, and actions. It is like reading a book, but you will listen and learn. Sit comfortably, relax, and imagine you are part of each story. Let's begin our journey into English. Topic 1. Going to the market. Yesterday morning, I woke up early because I wanted to go to the market. The sun was shining and the streets were quiet at first. I walked slowly, enjoying the fresh air. When I arrived at the market, it was already busy. There were people buying fruits, vegetables, and flowers. I saw a man selling oranges. He had a small basket filled with bright orange fruits. The smell of fresh vegetables and flowers was everywhere. I walked to the vegetable shop. The seller greeted me. "Good morning. How are you today?" I smiled and said, "I am fine, thank you. How are you?" He answered, "I am very well, thank you." I looked at the vegetables. There were carrots, potatoes, tomatoes, and green leafy vegetables. I wanted to buy some tomatoes for my lunch. I said, "Can I have 6 tomatoes, please?" He picked 6 fresh tomatoes and put them in a small plastic bag. Then I went to the fruit shop. I chose 3 bananas, 2 apples, and 5 oranges. I asked, "How much is it?" The seller said, "It is $10. I gave him the money and said, "Thank you very much." After buying everything, I walked slowly back home. The market was full of energy. People were talking, laughing, and buying things for their families. I felt happy because I could use simple English to communicate. Topic 2. Ordering food in a restaurant. Last week, I went to a small Italian restaurant. It was a quiet place with wooden tables and warm lights. I sat near the window and looked at the menu. There were many dishes: pasta, pizza, salads, and desserts. A waiter came and smiled politely. He said, "Good evening. May I take your order?" I looked at the menu and decided to order a margarita pizza and orange juice. I said, "I would like a margarita pizza and a glass of orange juice, please." He asked, "Would you like any dessert after the meal?" I said, "Maybe later, thank you." The waiter wrote down my order and went to the kitchen. While waiting, I watched the chef cooking. He took fresh ingredients and carefully prepared the pizza. The smell of cheese and tomato sauce filled the restaurant. When the pizza arrived, it looked delicious. I said, "Thank you very much." I enjoyed every bite, feeling happy and relaxed. Ordering food in a restaurant is not just about asking for dishes. It is also about politeness, listening, and understanding simple questions. After finishing, I paid the bill and thanked the waiter again. I left the restaurant feeling satisfied and confident because I used English naturally in a real situation. Topic 3. Talking about the weather. The weather this week has been very interesting. On Monday, the sky was clear and the sun was shining brightly. It was warm, so I decided to take a walk in the park. The birds were singing and children were playing. On Tuesday, it rained heavily. I wore a raincoat and carried an umbrella. The streets were wet and the air smelled fresh after the rain. People were running quickly to find shelter and the sound of raindrops was everywhere. On Wednesday, it was cloudy but not cold. I saw people walking slowly, enjoying the soft wind. The weather changes every day, and it is a common topic for conversation. For example, I often meet friends and say, "It is very sunny today," or "I think it will rain later." Talking about the weather is easy, but it also helps you start conversations naturally. Even strangers can talk about the weather politely. It is a small but important part of daily English. Topic 4. Meeting new people. Yesterday, I met a new neighbor named Sarah. She had recently moved to my city. She was friendly and smiled warmly. I said hello. Welcome to the neighborhood. She replied, thank you. It is very nice here. We started talking about our hobbies. She said, I like reading books and listening to music. I said, that is wonderful. I enjoy drawing and cooking. We talked for almost an hour. We shared stories about our childhood, school, and favorite movies. Meeting new people is exciting because you can practice English in a natural way. You learn how to ask questions, answer politely, and share personal stories. Topic 5. My favorite movie. I love watching movies, especially animated films. My favorite movie is The Lion King. The story is about a young lion named Simba who learns about life, friendship, and courage. I watch this movie many times. I enjoy the music, the colors, and the emotions in every scene. Movies are a fun way to learn English because you hear real conversations and emotions. When I watch movies, I try to understand the story. Sometimes I pause and think about the meaning of words. Other times, I watch for the emotions and the expressions of the characters. Topic 6. Talking about emotions. Every day we feel different emotions. Some days I feel happy. I enjoy simple things like walking in the park, listening to music, or talking to friends. Other days I feel tired or sad. Maybe I had a difficult day at work or school. It is normal to have these feelings. Talking about emotions in English is simple. You can say, I feel happy today, I'm a little tired, I feel excited about tomorrow. Sharing your feelings with friends makes communication stronger. Topic 7. Visiting a friend's house. Last weekend, I visited my friend's house. Her house was small but very cozy. We drank tea, talked about our week, and played a board game together. I noticed small details about her home, the decorations, the plants, and the books on the shelf. Spending time with friends helps you practice English naturally. We talked about our hobbies, movies, and future plans. Visiting friends is a simple way to improve conversational English. Topic 8. Using public transport. I often use public transport to go to work. Yesterday I took the bus, I bought a ticket, and greeted the driver politely. During the ride, I noticed people reading, listening to music, and chatting with friends. Using public transport is a real-life situation where you can practice simple English. Asking for a ticket, saying thank you, asking for directions. It helps you feel confident in everyday situations. Topic 9. Talking about hobbies. I have many hobbies that I enjoy in my free time. I like reading novels, drawing, and listening to music. Sometimes I try cooking new recipes. Hobbies are a great way to start conversations. When you meet someone, you can ask, what is your hobby? Do you like music? Do you like drawing? Talking about hobbies keeps conversations simple and interesting. Topic 10. Talking about the future. Plans. I always think about the future. I want to travel to new countries and learn about different cultures. I want to improve my English and grow my podcast. Planning the future helps you use simple sentences in English. I want to travel to Japan. I hope to learn English well. I will work hard every day. Thinking about the future is exciting and helps you practice speaking confidently. Topic 11. A day at the beach. Last Saturday, I went to the beach. The sun was shining and the sea looked very blue. Children were building sandcastles and people were swimming in the water. I walked along the shore feeling the soft sand under my feet. The sound of waves was calming. I collected some small shells and watched seagulls flying above. I bought a cold drink from a small shop near the beach. I sat on a bench and enjoyed the view. Spending time at the beach is relaxing and fun. It is also a great way to practice English. You can describe the scene. The water is clear. You can talk about your feelings. I feel happy at the beach. Topic 12. Visiting a park. Yesterday morning I went to the park near my house. There were many people walking, jogging, and playing with their dogs. I noticed a small group of children playing football. Their laughter was joyful and loud. I also saw elderly people doing morning exercises. I found a quiet place under a tree. I sat there and read a book. The park is a peaceful place where you can enjoy nature and practice simple English. For example, you can say, I like sitting under the tree, or the flowers are beautiful. Topic 13. Grocery shopping at the supermarket. I went to a large supermarket last week. There were many aisles full of fruits, vegetables, snacks, and drinks. I walked slowly, looking at the items carefully. I picked some rice, eggs, milk, and bread. I also bought some chocolate for dessert. The cashier asked, "Do you have a membership card?" I said, "No, I do not." After paying, I carried my groceries home. Shopping at a supermarket is a real-life situation where you use English. You can talk about products, ask for prices, and greet the staff politely. Topic 14. At the doctor's office. Last week, I visited a doctor because I had a small cold. The waiting room was quiet, and there were some patients reading magazines. When the nurse called my name, I entered the office. The doctor asked, "What is the problem?" I said, "I have a cough and a headache." The doctor examined me carefully and suggested some medicine. Visiting a doctor is a common situation. You can practice asking questions. Do I need to rest? Or how many times should I take this medicine? Topic 15. Celebrating a birthday. Last weekend, my friend had a birthday party. There were balloons, cake, and decorations everywhere. I brought a small gift for my friend. We sang songs, played games, and ate cake together. It was a happy moment. Talking about celebrations is a fun way to practice English. You can describe events. We played games. You can talk about feelings. I feel happy. Or ask questions. Did you enjoy the party? Topic 16. Going to the library. I went to the library to read some books. The library was quiet, with shelves full of books in every section. I found a book about animals and sat at a table to read. The smell of old pages and new books was nice. I also saw some students studying for exams. The library is a good place to learn English vocabulary. You can describe books, ask for help, where is the history section? Or say, I like reading this book. Topic 17. Visiting a zoo. Last month I visited the zoo. There were many animals, lions, tigers, elephants, and monkeys. I saw a lion sleeping under a tree. The monkeys were jumping and making funny sounds. I walked slowly, reading the information about each animal. There were children asking questions to their parents about the animals. Visiting a zoo is fun and educational. You can describe animals, the elephant is big, or talk about actions, the monkeys are playing. Topic 18. Going to a coffee shop. I went to a coffee shop yesterday morning. The smell of coffee was everywhere. People were talking, reading books, or using laptops. I ordered a cup of cappuccino and a sandwich. The barista smiled and said, "Here is your coffee, enjoy." I found a small table near the window and enjoyed my breakfast slowly. A coffee shop is a great place to practice English. You can order drinks, talk to staff, and describe your experience. Topic 19. Attending a class or workshop. I attended a small English workshop last week. The classroom had 10 students and 1 teacher. We learned new vocabulary and practiced speaking in pairs. The teacher asked questions like, "What is your favorite hobby?" Each student answered and shared stories. I enjoyed listening to others and speaking in front of the class. Attending classes helps you improve English naturally. You learn new words, sentences, and conversation skills. Topic 20. A trip to the mountains. Last month, I went on a trip to the mountains. The air was fresh and cool. I saw tall trees, flowing rivers, and birds flying in the sky. I walked on a small path, listening to the sound of water. I met some hikers and talked about the route. The mountains were peaceful, and I felt happy and relaxed. Trips to natural places are perfect to describe your surroundings, feelings, and experiences in English. You can't say, "The river is clean," or "I feel calm in the mountains." Thank you for listening to episode 3. Every day you can use English in simple situations. By talking about real life, movies, hobbies, and feelings, your English will improve naturally. Remember, listen carefully, understand simple sentences, use English in daily life. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in episode 4.